The Awakening. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the observation deck of the EFS's Intrepid, Earth's flagship vessel. Through the viewport, she watched as the blue-green planet Nerissa, humanity's most distant colony, spun lazily below. 50 years of faster-than-light travel had given humans a modest foothold in the galaxy. 37 colonies across 28 star systems, a pittance compared to the Azrathi Dominion's 10,000 worlds spanning 3 spiral arms. Incoming transmission from Nerissa Colony, Captain, Lieutenant Park announced, his voice tight with tension. "Put it through," Alina ordered. The holographic display flickered to life, showing Governor Chen's face, etched with panic. "Captain Reyes, Dominion vessels have entered orbit. There." An explosion rocked the governor's office. "They're claiming we violated their ancestral territory. We've explained we settled here with their permission, but they're not listening. They're bombing research facilities. Thousands of civilians." The transmission cut to static. Alina's blood ran cold. She'd spent her career navigating the complex politics of the Azrathi Dominion, an empire older than human civilization itself. For 2 centuries, humanity had tried to earn a place among the stars. They'd accepted endless restrictions, paid exorbitant development taxes, and endured continuous reminders of their inferiority. The Dominion considered humans barely evolved primates, tolerated only as long as they remained useful and submissive. "Battle stations," Alina commanded, her voice steady despite the rage building inside her. "And send everything we're seeing to Earth Command. Now." The Intrepid dropped into low orbit, but they were too late. Nerissa's main settlement was in ruins, its atmospheric dome breached. 3 Azrathi warships, each 10 times the size of the Intrepid, hung in orbit, their weapons still glowing from discharge. "Dominion flagship is hailing us," Park reported. The image of High Commander Vexera filled the screen. The Azrathi's scaled face showed no emotion, 6 eyes blinking in their unsettling asymmetrical pattern. "Human vessel," Vexera's translated voice rumbled. "Your presence is noted. The punishment of this illegal settlement has concluded. The inhabitants violated Azrathi territorial claims from the 3rd Dynasty. Return to your homeworld and remind your leaders that proper documentation must be filed before any world is colonized." "Commander," Alina replied, struggling to keep her voice level. "Nerissa was established with full approval from the Dominion Colonial Office. We have the documentation. This was a civilian research colony studying non-invasive agricultural techniques. There were families, children. Documents can be forged." Vexera interrupted. "Our intelligence indicated weapon development. The matter is closed." The transmission cut. Alina gripped the command console until her knuckles turned white. "Get me everything you can on survivors. And I want a secure line to Earth Command. Now." On Earth, the United Earth Government convened an emergency session. President Kamala Singh reviewed the footage from Nerissa for the 8th time, her face grim as the colony's devastation played across the massive screen. 26,000 civilians, Defense Secretary Okonkwo said quietly. "Preliminary reports suggest fewer than 3,000 survivors." The Azrathi allowed some evacuation shuttles to leave before the final bombardment, their idea of mercy. The room fell silent. For 2 centuries, humanity had endured the Dominion's condescension, their arbitrary restrictions, their cultural development assessments that always found humans lacking. Each time humans invented something the Azrathi had assumed beyond them, new restrictions appeared. Each time humans expanded, ancient Dominion claims suddenly materialized. This was no mistake, Intelligence Director Zhao said, breaking the silence. "We've intercepted internal Dominion communications. They've been monitoring Nerissa for months, looking for any pretext. The agricultural research there, specifically our drought-resistant crops, threatened an Azrathi monopoly on famine relief efforts in the Orion Spur. So they murdered 23,000 people over crop competition." General Collins asked, his voice hoarse. They murdered 23,000 people because we're becoming too successful, too quickly, Zhao replied. The Dominion's power relies on most species spending millennia in cultural development phases while paying tribute. We're advancing faster than any species they've encountered. We're a threat to their system. President Singh stood, her decision made. We've tried diplomacy for 200 years. We've abided by their rules, accepted their restrictions, and trusted their promises of eventual equality. They've responded by killing our people when we succeed. She looked around the room. I am formally requesting that Congress approve a declaration of war against the Azrathi Dominion. Voices erupted in protest. Madam President, the Dominion controls 10,000 worlds. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. It would be suicide. Singh raised her hand for silence. I understand the odds, but consider our alternatives. Continue as we are and watch the Dominion destroy any colony that shows too much promise, or surrender our independence entirely and become a client state, giving up our autonomy forever. She activated a holographic display showing Earth's military assets. We can't match their numbers or technology in conventional warfare, but Earth spent thousands of years fighting itself. War is in our blood in ways the Dominion can't comprehend. They've been at peace so long they've forgotten what real conflict looks like. 3 days later, Ambassador Michael Chen stood in the Grand Hall of the Dominion Senate on Azrath Prime. The massive chamber, designed to intimidate with its towering ceilings and hovering platforms, held representatives from hundreds of species. At its center, Sovereign Empress Xalzarath sat on her crystalline throne, looking down at the human with evident boredom. Speak, human, she commanded, her voice amplified throughout the chamber. Why do you interrupt our Trade Regulation Council? Chen stepped forward, his footsteps echoing. In his hand, he carried an old-fashioned paper document, a deliberate choice for its symbolic weight. The United Earth Government brings a formal message to the Azrathi Dominion, he announced, his voice steady. In response to the unprovoked destruction of the Nerissa colony and the murder of 23,000 civilians, Earth hereby declares war against the Azrathi Dominion, effective immediately. Laughter rippled through the chamber. The Empress's mandibles clicked in amusement. You declare war on the Dominion. She gestured to the assembled representatives. Your species has barely mastered interstellar travel. Your territory consists of a few dozen worlds. Our empire spans 3 galactic arms and has stood for 50,000 years. Nevertheless, Chen replied, placing the document on the ceremonial platform, we declare war. The Dominion will answer for Nerissa. As Chen turned to leave, one Azrathi, Elder Counselor Tixan, known for his historical studies, watched with growing concern. Unlike his peers, Tixan had studied human history extensively. He alone understood what the Dominion had awakened. While the Senate chamber continued to buzz with amused conversation, Tixan quietly accessed his private terminal and initiated emergency protocols for his household. Admiral Wei Lin studied the holographic map in Earth Fleet headquarters, identifying Dominion supply routes, military outposts, and communication relays. After 2 centuries of cultural exchange, humans knew far more about Dominion infrastructure than the Azrathi realized. Their arrogance is their weakness, Wei told her assembled commanders. The Dominion hasn't fought a genuine war in 3,000 years. Their conflicts are ceremonial, their tactics unchanged for millennia. They expect us to build massive fleets and challenge them in open space, a battle we'd certainly lose. She highlighted a small Dominion outpost near the edge of human space. We don't fight the way they expect. We strike where they're vulnerable, with methods they've never seen. Captain Rice, now commanding Strike Group Alpha, led the first attack. 5 mid-sized Earth vessels dropped out of FTL near Dominion Monitoring Station KEX-12, which controlled communication for an entire sector. The station's defenses were designed to repel large capital ships, not the swarm of small, agile fighters that launched from the Earth vessels. All units, execute Operation Hornet's Nest, Rice ordered. The Earth fighters attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously, using electronic warfare packages to confuse Dominion targeting systems. While the station's weapons tried to track the erratic flight patterns, two Earth vessels positioned themselves at precisely calculated points in the gravity well. Gravitational disruptors online, reported Commander Osei from the ESS Daedalus. Executing in 3, 2, 1. The revolutionary human technology, developed in secret for decades, created localized distortions in spacetime. The station's shields, calibrated for energy and kinetic attacks, proved useless against this fundamental manipulation of physics. Within minutes, the station's propulsion and weapons systems were offline. Dominion troops, expecting a prolonged battle followed by an honorable surrender ceremony, were stunned when human Marines boarded the station, disabled its self-destruct systems, and secured it intact, all without a single casualty on either side. Dominion Commander, Rise addressed the captured Azrathi officer. Your personnel will be transported to the nearest Dominion world with full supplies. This station is now under Earth control. The commander, a veteran of 300 years, stared in confusion. You're letting us leave? Without terms, without surrender protocols. This isn't a ceremonial war, Rise replied simply. We fight to win, not to perform. On Azrath Prime, the Sovereign Empress received news of the attack with disbelief. Impossible, she declared, throwing the data crystal against the wall where it shattered. A minor species cannot have taken Kex-12. Your information is flawed. High General Vortaxon bowed low. The information is confirmed, Your Radiance. The humans employ tactics and technology we have not encountered before. They attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously, using some form of gravitational manipulation that our shields could not repel. And our forces? The Empress demanded. Released unharmed on Proxima Colony, the general admitted. The humans did not follow any standard warfare protocols. Elder Counselor Texan stepped forward, his ancient eyes grave. Your Radiance, this is precisely what I feared. Humans do not fight as we do. For most of their history, they fought against themselves, against equally intelligent, equally creative opponents. They developed tactics we have never imagined. They are primitive. The Empress hissed. They only achieved space travel 5 centuries ago. And in that time, Texan replied carefully, they have advanced more rapidly than any species in our records. While we perfect the same technologies we've used for millennia, they innovate constantly. While we follow the warfare traditions established by the 9th Dynasty, they adapt to each new situation. The Empress waved him away. Send the 3rd Battle Fleet to reclaim the station and make an example of any human worlds nearby. This impertinence will be crushed within days. As the court dispersed, Texan returned to his private chambers. On his secure terminal, he reviewed historical records of human conflicts. What he saw confirmed his worst fears. Humans didn't fight for glory or according to ancient traditions. They fought to win, using whatever methods worked. And throughout their bloody history, smaller human forces had repeatedly defeated larger ones through innovation, adaptability, and sheer determination. The real war, Texan knew, was just beginning, and the Dominion was woefully unprepared for what was coming. The Reckoning. The Azrathi 3rd Battle Fleet emerged from hyperspace near the captured monitoring station, a formation of 100 warships arranged in the ceremonial Spear of Dominion pattern established 3,000 years earlier. Each vessel gleamed with ornate decorations, signifying its house and lineage. Beautiful works of art designed to inspire awe before battle. Fleet Commander X-Corps stood proudly on the command deck of the flagship Eternal Glory, his ceremonial armor polished to a mirror shine. Open communications, he ordered. The humans will have the honor of witnessing a true Dominion battle formation before their defeat. But where X-Corps expected to find human ships arranged in a defensive posture around the station, he found nothing. The station itself appeared intact but dark, its systems offline. Scans detect no human vessels within sensor range, Commander, reported his second. The station appears abandoned. Zexcor's mandibles clicked in confusion. Impossible. They would not surrender their prize so easily. Approach with caution and prepare boarding parties. As the fleet moved closer, sensors suddenly detected hundreds of small objects surrounding them. Objects that had been dormant until the Dominion ships were deep within their perimeter. Unknown devices activating, shouted the sensor officer. There. Before he could finish, the devices detonated simultaneously, not with explosive force, but with precisely calibrated gravitational pulses that disrupted the Dominion ships' FTL drives and communication systems. The meticulously arranged fleet formation disintegrated as ships struggled to maintain position. From the shadows of a nearby asteroid field, 30 human vessels emerged, moving in perfect coordination. Unlike the ornate Dominion ships, these were sleek, utilitarian, and deadly, designed for function rather than form. All ships, execute attack pattern Chimera. Admiral Wei Lin ordered from her flagship, the EFS Prometheus. Target propulsion and weapons systems only. Minimize casualties. The human fleet split into 5 squadrons, each attacking from a different vector. While the Dominion commanders attempted to regroup into traditional formations, the human vessels weaved between them, firing precisely at vulnerable points that centuries of human intelligence gathering had identified. This is not proper battle procedure. Zexcor raged as another of his ships reported critical systems failure. They must form a line and challenge us directly. These are the sacred traditions of warfare. Within 40 minutes, 87 Dominion vessels had been disabled without destruction. The remaining 13, including the flagship, found themselves surrounded as their weapons and propulsion systems failed one by one. Admiral Wei's face appeared on Zexcor's communication screen. Dominion Commander, your fleet is disabled. We will transport your crews to safety and take possession of your vessels. This conflict need not result in further loss of life. You dishonor the ancient traditions of war. Zexcor sputtered. Where is the glory in these tactics? Wei's expression remained impassive. We don't fight for glory, Commander. We fight to win. On Earth, the captured Dominion vessels presented an unprecedented opportunity. Dr. Sofia Martinez led the research team examining the ships in a massive facility beneath the Pacific Ocean. Their technology is incredibly advanced, she explained to President Singh, but also incredibly inefficient. They've been refining the same basic designs for millennia, prioritizing tradition and aesthetics over function. She displayed a hologram of a Dominion power core. This is beautiful engineering, but we can improve its output by 200% just by redesigning these components. She showed a modified human version alongside it. They build ships to last centuries and to showcase their craftsmanship. We build ships to win fights. Within weeks, human engineers had reverse engineered and improved upon Dominion technology. New human vessels incorporated these advancements, along with innovations the Dominion had never considered because they violated their traditional design philosophies. On Azrath Prime, the Dominion Senate was in chaos. Reports of human victories flooded in from across the Empire's borders. The humans weren't attempting to hold territory or establish supply lines. They struck strategically and vanished, targeting communication hubs, shipyards, and command centers. The barbarians showed no respect for proper warfare. High General Vortaxen shouted, slamming his clawed fist on the ancient table. They attack without formal declarations of individual battles. They strike and disappear. They refuse to engage in honorable combat. Elder Counselor Tixan, who had been monitoring the situation closely, finally spoke. Perhaps, High General, it is we who misunderstand the nature of true warfare. The humans fight as they evolved to fight, to survive, not to honor traditions. And they are winning. The Empress, her pride wounded by the continuing defeats, hissed dangerously. You sound as though you admire these primitives, Elder Texan. I respect them, Texan replied carefully. As should we all. In just 6 months, With a fraction of our resources and technology, they have disabled or captured nearly 1,000 of our vessels and disrupted communications across 3 sectors. They study us, adapt to our responses, and strike where we least expect. The Empress rose, her full height impressive even among the Azrathi. Enough. I am activating the ancient protocols. All available fleets will converge on the human homeworld. We will end this embarrassment with one decisive stroke. Tixen's multiple hearts sank. The ancient protocols, last used 3,000 years ago, authorized the complete eradication of a species deemed too dangerous to exist within the galactic order. Captain Alina Reyes, now Admiral after her successful campaign in the Orion Spur, received the intelligence report with grim determination. Earth's spy network within the Dominion had intercepted the Empress's orders. They're gathering 7,000 ships, she told the Earth Defense Council. Every available vessel in the Dominion fleet. They plan to destroy Earth completely. General Collins studied the projections. Even with our new technology and tactics, we can't defeat a force that size in direct combat. We don't have to, Rise replied, activating a holographic display. The Dominion relies on rigid command structures and traditions. Their ships will approach in a ceremonial formation, with the flagship at the center. If we can capture or neutralize the Empress's vessel, we create chaos in their ranks. And how do we reach their flagship through 7,000 defending ships? President Singh asked. Rise smiled grimly. By doing what humans have always done best. Adapting. 3 weeks later, the Dominion Armada entered the Sol system, the largest fleet assembled in 3 millennia. At its center flew the Imperial dreadnought Eternal Dominion, carrying the Empress herself to witness humanity's destruction. The Earth Defense Fleet, just 400 ships, waited near the orbit of Mars. The disparity in numbers should have made the outcome inevitable. Pathetic, the Empress said, viewing the human formation. They dare to stand against us with such meager forces. Begin the ceremony of inevitable victory. As Dominion ships arranged themselves in elaborate patterns for the traditional pre-battle ceremonies, human vessels suddenly accelerated to maximum speed, directly toward the heart of the Dominion formation. They're suicidal, exclaimed High General Vortaxen. No matter. Let them break upon our shields. But the human ships didn't impact. Instead, they executed a maneuver that Dominion tacticians had deemed impossible, synchronized microjumps through FTL. One moment they were charging the Dominion line. The next, they appeared at precise points throughout the formation. And then something unprecedented happened. From within the Dominion fleet itself, hundreds of previously undetected devices activated. Technological descendants of the gravitational disruptors used in the first battle, but far more sophisticated. These devices didn't just disable ships. They created temporary wormholes. Throughout the massive Dominion formation, localized space-time distortions appeared. Ships that had been arranged in perfect ceremonial patterns suddenly found themselves facing the wrong direction or miles from their assigned positions. The meticulously organized formation dissolved into chaos. Impossible, the Empress shrieked as alarms blared throughout her flagship. This violates fundamental physical laws. Actually, it exploits them, came a voice from her own communication system. The bridge view screen activated without command, showing Admiral Rice's face. Your Radiance, look outside your viewport. Surrounding the Imperial dreadnought were 50 Earth vessels, their weapons trained on the flagship's critical systems. The rest of the Dominion fleet, disoriented and separated by the space-time disruptions, couldn't come to their Empress's aid. What trickery is this? The Empress demanded. Not trickery, Rise replied calmly. Innovation. You've ruled the galaxy for 50,000 years, perfecting the same technologies and tactics while stagnating in tradition. We spent our history fighting, adapting, and overcoming impossible odds. On a separate channel, Elder Counselor Texan received a message from Earth Intelligence Director Zhao. The ancient protocols die with the current Empress. We have studied your writings and know you favored diplomatic solutions. Is peace still possible? Texan looked at the tactical display, where the once mighty Dominion armada lay in disarray, and made his decision. 1 hour later, the Empress stood in her throne room as Admiral Rice, President Singh, and Director Zhao materialized via hologram. Elder Texan and the Dominion High Council stood nearby. The terms are simple, President Singh stated. The Dominion acknowledges humanity as a sovereign equal. All restricted technologies become available to all species. The practice of cultural development periods ends. Each world determines its own path forward. You would destroy 50,000 years of tradition and order. The Empress hissed. The old order is already gone, Texan said quietly. The humans have demonstrated that our way is not the only way, nor even the best way. We have been frozen in tradition while they have continued to evolve and adapt. And if we refuse, the Empress demanded. Admiral Rice stepped forward. Then we continue this war until the Dominion no longer exists. We don't want to destroy what you've built. We want to join a galactic community as equals, not subjects. But we will never again allow our people to be killed for your convenience or pride. The Empress stared at the humans, seeing them truly for the first time, not as primitive newcomers, but as a force unlike any the galaxy had seen before, a species that had turned its violent history into a crucible of innovation and determination. The Dominion, she began, then stopped, mandibles clicking in agitation. Finally, with a gesture of submission rarely seen from an Azrathi ruler, she continued, "The Dominion accepts your terms." As news spread throughout the galaxy, countless species that had endured millennia under Dominion restrictions watched in amazement. The unthinkable had happened. The Eternal Empire had been humbled by newcomers. 6 months later, representatives from 300 species gathered on a neutral world to sign the new Galactic Charter. President Singh and Elder Texan, now the Dominion's lead diplomat, stood side by side. History will remember this as the beginning of a true galactic community, Texan said as they watched the proceedings, not ruled by tradition and fear, but united in cooperation and innovation. Singh nodded. Humans don't want to rule a galaxy, Counselor. We just want what we've always wanted, the freedom to reach our full potential. That, Texan replied, is precisely what the galaxy needed most, though few of us realized it until you showed us. Your species turned warfare into an art of adaptation and survival, then used those same skills to forge peace. As the new charter was signed, signaling the dawn of a new galactic era, Admiral Rice stood at a viewport on the ES Intrepid, watching the stars. The same determination that had allowed humanity to fight an impossible war would now be directed toward building an impossible peace. The galaxy would never be the same again, and that was exactly as it should be.